it's that time of the month, baby, where we get tier shifts. There's a lot to talk about. And as per usual, we're going to start this video off by just looking at the tier that got absolutely massacred and picking one Pokemon to highlight that dropped. So today we get RU looking at that, and I'm just going to casually go right to here. And you know, I don't know, this could mean anything what I'm doing right now. So, of course, y'all been enjoying the content. Y'all love these PS lives we do, the informational videos, and just the general happenings coverage. Make sure that you are subscribed if you're not already. We are getting very close to 10K subscribers, and I want you all to join for the movement, because we're hitting it no matter what the haters say by the end of the month. Not month, God. Maybe. We're hitting it by the end of the year, though. So, hey, become a follower. Stick around for the great times. So, I'll start off with what rose out of Inu, because we did get a couple things. Only one thing actually was from Inu, but we lost two potential unbanned candidates. And it's kind of funny, too, the ones we lost. So Terrakion we all expected to leave and go to Ryu. The mon being an Inu and God Piu was always viewed as an aberration that, even though it looked a little manageable at the time, wasn't going to stick. And power level-wise, it just makes more sense to be in a tier like Ryu. This one I'm not shocked by, and it didn't really have any implications for our tier going forward, because it was never getting unbanned unless defensively our tier's power level spikes in like March, April, you know, later month. Totally leaving those interesting. And this kind of comes to the Basculegion drop that we'll talk about more later. But with Legion dropping, there have been worries that maybe Rain, even with just manual setting it with Rain Dance, that it could be a little bit overpowering, and you still has no bulky water types. And you had him on like Basculegion. This is the male one, so it's the worst one, but it's still incredibly strong. And without really great options to actually switch in on it, there were some concerns that it might break Rain alongside other options. We have like Floatzel, Tornadus, Thundurus, etc., etc. And so there was talk of maybe a Damp Rock ban if Legion did prove to break Rain. And with a Damp Rock ban, there was, you know, further rumblings about, hey, would we maybe consider freeing Drizzle? I mean, obviously freeing Politoed, but freeing Drizzle by proxy? With Toad Rising, obviously it doesn't matter anymore. From what I understand, Rain has been getting really good in Ryu. It's why, right here, Overquill rose to Ryu. I believe it's partly due to Rain. It's a good Sword Stance user on Rain teams. And now, of course, for now, that's moot. But maybe later on it becomes relevant to us. I kind of doubt it, given next month we're going to get blasted by shifts, but we'll see, man. We'll see. I am excited for potential next month. There are a lot of bulky water types that just dropped to Ryu. And so, the Copium, of course, is saying, hey, surely now that they have Gastrodon and all these other guys, they'll finally give us something, right? Please. But we'll see, we'll see. And of course, like I mentioned, Overquill did rise to Ryu. This is a pretty big hit to the tier. It was one of the best spikers in the format, probably the best spiker, because you had a positive matchup against basically every form of removal. Outside of maybe like Default Altaria wasn't a great matchup, but you beat the piss out of Serena, and you at least threatened Avalik with a poison. Not only that, though, you had a really good Glowbro matchup, because the plot sets, you crunched them down, you had Pain Split to stay alive, and if they ever Terra, you just Barb Barrage, threatened with a poison. Quilgon, I mean, you got some people thinking Glowbros may be broken. We'll see, though. I think anyone saying that Glowbro is broken on day one needs to get their head examined, or a case of jumping the gunitis. Hey, look at, we got some mons down here that help versus Glowbro. And people are gonna hear that and go, what do you mean? Well, look at this guy right here. You think Glowbro would enjoy seeing a big lurk drop? Hell no. So, again, like I talked about, Basculegion drops. It could make Manual Rain even without, you know, Drizzle stuff. It could make Rain too good. In that case, we'd consider a Damp Rock ban. Outside of that, I don't think it sees usage outside of Rain. And maybe it could. I think something with like Choice Scarf adaptability might not be the worst thing outside of Rain, because your Wave Crash is still doing quite a lot. Its issue is that it's got the worst coverage known to man. So, for any of you that don't know, male Basculegion's a physical attacker, mostly. Female Basculegion is a special attacker. And so, Masculegion, we can call it. Masculegion doesn't have really much in the way of physical moves. You've got a ton of water moves, and then that's it, really. You know, we can go to here real quick. Let me, don't need to see chat. They've already updated the builder, which is really cool. If you look at Basculegion's coverage, what's our physical moves? Crunch? I don't care about Crunch. Head Smash? I don't really care about Head Smash too much. Blast Respects? Banned. Outrage? Lamau? Phantom Force? Lamau? Ice Fang? I don't really know how much I want to use Ice Fang that much. At least it's coverage. Psychic Fangs? I'm not sure it hits anything outside of Dragalge. Zen Headbutt? Same deal. I guess Plume. Like, if you're looking at coverage on this, you're probably looking at Wave Crash. It does get Flip Turn. Psychic Fangs, because it hits Plume and Dragalge. And then last move, unironically, is probably like Terra Blast. Because you probably still want to Ghost Stab. The issue then, what you run into, is you kind of want Jet. If you're going Bandit, at least. So I think with Scarf, you probably would see something like this. And the only reason I theorized the prospect of Scarf is with adaptability and rain, you're already so strong as is that you might be able to get away with not worrying about Swift Swim to let you go first all the time. And instead, you know, you don't need the Bandit Swift Swim. You're already so strong. You may as well capitalize on having a little extra coverage. Like, this works out really well. You get a ton of power with adaptability and rain that it kind of makes the point of Band not so strong. Like, adaptability to your stab moves basically gives you the same amount of damage oomph that rain would anyway. I think maybe a little less, but it's not so detrimental. I think it could make this work. And then, of course, if you wanted to run it on rain with Band, you'd probably then do something like this instead, where I think you'd drop Psychic Fangs for Aqua Jet. I don't think you need to run Jet necessarily, but my idea is that you still want this if you can't maintain rain to give you that speed control. I still think you could probably get away with dropping Jet, because at the end of the day, you still have like Terra Blast for your coverage against, say, Plume and Dragalge, especially Dragalge. Like, I think Terra Blast Ghost is gonna murk it. Its physical bulk isn't terrible, but it's not the greatest. But I think there's a lot of intrigue to be had in this other set here that we were showing. So I'll probably try this out under rain. We'll see how it goes, man, but something like this could work. And of course, you look at special moves that, like, Fasculegion, we'll call the female one, as you get like Ice Beam, you get Shadow Ball, you get Surf. You still can Flip Turn too, because I mean, hey, not like a special attacker using a physical pivot move is something that's rare. Literally looking at you right here, but it is what it is. Hisui Decidueye comes back, and it's very funny because when it left, Tier looked so much different compared to now that I don't know how good it'll actually be. I think the most intriguing part is, of course, it's a defogger, and we've been wanting other options for hazard removal for a while now. It was like Serena being spammed to the high heavens, and then occasionally you saw some Avalugg and Defog Altaria. So Hisui Decid at least gives you another option. Knockoff, Triple Arrows, Roost Defog's pretty good on it. That's about it. Maybe it could get some terrain usage though. Grassy terrain is of course very strong right now. And with Hitmonlee dropping too, the build gets stronger. I guess you'd have to justify it over Hitmonlee, because those do probably compete for a slot a little bit. Unless you want to try some like Fight Spam Core, which maybe then you could get that going together. But I think it's got some potential at least. I don't love it, but it does do pretty decently if you run physical bulk into the common hazard setters right now. Like, we're looking at Diancie, which saying you need physical bulk for Diancie. Basically talking about going for like Terra Poison on it. It's okay into Diancie. You can knock it, and then Triple Arrows every time it switches in later to try to reset hazards isn't too good. And then Registeel and Raj, of course, just get smoked by Triple Arrows. Registeel's probably not going to be able to boost past you too easily, and again, since I anticipate Poison would be the best Terra type on those utility sets, you still have the body press resistance. It's not breaking you, so that's not too bad either. And it's not like it just cedes momentum something like Chandelure either, because like we said, we've got knockoff. So Shandy actually has to care about switching into you and trying to say, oh, they're going for Defog or Roost here. I could get Shandy it. No, get knocked, lose like 70% of your HP, and no longer be a threat. So there's that. Electivire dropped. It did get buffed this gen. It has like knockoff, Drain Punch, and Bulk Up now. I don't know if Bulk... No, I know Bulk and Knock are new. I don't know if Drain Punch is. And I guess Trailblaze 2 is a new move, but I still don't anticipate Electivire being good. Supercell Slam's a new move for it too, I guess, but honestly, I hate that move with every fiber in my body. I don't know, you look at the other mons in this tier, you tell me Electivire is good? No. I'll probably still try it, but I don't think it's gonna be too good. Golurk drops, this mod I'm actually really hyped for. Like I said, it is a Glowbro check. The Glowbros are gonna probably have to start running Terra Water, if anything, because otherwise, like, I'm packing you up with Banded Poltergeists and Earthquakes, and you don't have coverage for me too commonly. Right now, the standard Glowbro, we've talked about it, Terrafire with Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, Nasty Plot, Slack Off. That is getting destroyed by Golurk. So we'll probably see some set changing from Glowbro to accommodate, but it is a very good check still regardless, and with how the meta works right now with a lot of defensive cores, I mean, Golurk kind of beats them down badly. A lot of teams have very, very flimsy ghost resistance. Why you see Chandelure do so well into a lot of archetypes right now, because the ghost check is like something like, it's been like a Star Raptor at times, man, or like AV Meloetta, which, I mean, was a good check to Shandy, but still pressured a lot by Fire Blast, and even just getting tricked. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest thing for AV Meloetta to take a Specs. And so Golurk, of course, beats up on those common options right now. It's not like we really got a lot back. I mean, we got what? I was going to try and say, did we even get a resistance to Ghost? No, we didn't. These all die. So, I think Golurk should at least be pretty decent. The worry I'd have for it is mons like Umbreon, Sylveon, Florges, Screamtail. They're all pretty common, and Protect is like always on their set. A mon like Registeel or Copperajah could also probably flex Protect onto their movesets pretty easily too, and at least help scout around the banded sets. Limit Lurk's potential, and of course it is slow, so you're always going to have offensive momentum at your side when trying to manage it, though I do believe that Golurk should be pretty reasonable threat. And it also gives you another ground type to team build with, although it's not a bulky ground like you'd maybe want, and it's not like Flygon where you compress so much into that one team slot. It is still an option, and I think it'll help vary up team building a bit. Kind of sucks it lost Rock Polish this generation. It was no more TM, a lot of mons were getting it as a TM. Rock Polish Golurk on Hyper Offense was a pretty cool option in previous generations, but I think Bandit will still be a very, very good breaker. Let me get the Snarler. It's been so long since Grimmsnarl was back here. Last time it was here, you remember the Pivot set and those specially defensive bulk up sets kind of ravaging the tier. And then it rose to UU and stayed there for like what felt like half a year. And so now having it back is pretty cool. I don't really think it dropped in the ideal meta. Like, you got Diancie now in the tier, but Diancie is literally the wall. Even things like Florges are still really good because you got Terra Ground being pretty solid on it. You just Terra Blast the Grim if it ever goes for its Terra Steel, or even like Poison if it wanted to try that. Sylveon, of course, can do the same thing with spec sets. And even things like Quillfish are still common. Glowbro is not the best check ever. You are weak to Dark, but you could still pivot around it probably pretty decently. You know, switch into predicted fairy moves. If it goes for bulk up, you still can force some question marks. You know, am I sludge bombing you as you Terra Steel? Am I flamethrowing, predicting that? Or am I just switching on your crunch that's coming out? Options like that. I think Grim should still be pretty nice though. I think it's going to enable HO very, very successfully. It might even still work okay as a setup sweeper. I just do question it a little bit, unless it's like taunt bulk up. I think a lot of other bulky mons right now do have their way with Grim a little bit. Particularly something like Registeel. Since Grim doesn't have Darkest Lariat anymore, if Reggie counter boosts, it's kind of just a loss. Like, you can't crunch defense drop me because I've got clear body. I'm just gonna iron defense up, and what do? You can't even parting shot because I have clear body. I block it. So I think it's not the best time for it to drop. We also have a lot more fairies, like we mentioned earlier. Just talking about Sylveon and Florges too. But I mean, it's back. It'll still be okay. Hitmonlee drops, and Hitmonlee, if you watch Joey's videos, which if you haven't been watching them, fix that. It got buffed, and it's Swords Dance now. This could be what pushes terrain teams over the edge, or is what... shout out Skier, dude. I forget what he said. It was a miss-say of the straw that breaks the camel's back little phrase. I thought it was funny, though. Hitmonlee could do that, though. It could be what pushes terrain over the edge, because Swords Dance is just making it so much better now than stuff like Bulk Up and Curse that had to rely on previous gens. Of course, you did Bulk Up on terrain, Curse if you were wanting to run it on just generic HO. But makes it a lot more intimidating off the bat, and with grassy terrain being generally the predominant terrain type, I'd say right now, I still really like Psychic, but grassy is what we've seen more of in tournaments. You don't even care about Bulk Up, because you get the defense boost, so you're just gonna get your Swords Dance boost, be very hard to take down, and, I mean, you've got the coverage for everything you need. You just, you know, your CC, your Acrobatic, it doesn't get accurate. Why did I even put that in? You got your CC, your Blaze Kick, because you're gonna need something for Vileplume, and then, I don't know, what move do you want last? I don't know, pick a move. Knockoff. There you go, something like that. So, I think Hitmonlee's going to be really good on those teams. I really do. I'll definitely be trying out more terrain. You could call me a terrain video farmer all you want. I won't deny it. I love clickbaiting with terrain. It's also just very fun to use. So, be on the lookout for that. You'll definitely also see people just use Hitmonlee on random balances, and it will do nothing of note. But, for what it's worth, for those that do want to try that, it gets Rapid Spin now. So maybe you can try out some Scarf Hitmonlee stuff with the Rapid Spin. I don't know. I'm sure there are worse things to try out than that. Hisuian Lilligant also drops. Why? I don't know why this is in you now. I have no clue. I guess it's weak? A lot of it probably is just hustle. I think a lot of it is hustle. So you compare it to other fighting types, there's just an innate lack of consistency. And it's not like a mon like Durant in previous gens where, you know, it was always... You're talking about Staraptor being UUBL's resident. Durant's been like RUBL's resident for quite some time now. But Hisuian Lilligant, it's also got some moves that are just inaccurate. I think it's gonna be really good though. It's of course another buff to Sun because you got Chlorophyll. So we're talking about something like Victory Dance, CC Solar Blade Triple Axle, looking absolutely scrumptious right now. Sun was already looking to be on the up and up through tournaments. We saw a lot of it in the NU Seasonal Tournament, the NU Circuit Playoffs, and also the NU Champions League. I think this could be another thing that brings back the question of, okay, do we have to look into a Ninetales ban, or a Vulpix ban, or a Drought ban, you know, however we were to handle it. Because, yeah, this mon is very, very good. Now, there's also a world where you just say, well, Sun wasn't broken until Hisuian Lilligant dropped, so we'd ban it. And this is also a mon that I could genuinely see being kind of overpowering outside of Sun. Like, you just look at it on, like, generic HO with something like Widelands, maybe. You try to compensate for Hustle. And if you changed that, obviously, to, like, Leaf Blade or something. There's a world where this even would just get it banned. But I think we're going to see a lot of people trying this out on Sun and having insane success with it. Because, yeah, it's got everything you could need. Very, very scary looking Pokemon. Maybe it's something like Synthesis 3 attacks could be okay on Sun. Just throw a Life Orb on it, you know. But be on the lookout for this mon. This is basically HO the tier shift in a lot of ways. We also got Lucario. I don't really have a lot to say about Lucario. I think it's broken. I don't really know what there is to say about it. What's stopping him? I mean, there are things stopping Lucario. Scarf Chandelure being one of the prominent ones. Even Lucario in general kind of struggles with Chandelure, though. You think about the most common set, it was like CC Meter Mash E-Speed with Swords Dance. Like, Shandy literally just walls you with one-shots you with a flamethrower, like GG raps. But you wanted to give yourself insurance against potential for crunch. Because, let's be real here, Steel is pretty bad as an offensive typing. Lucario, there'd be people trying to justify dropping Mash for crunch to have the Shandy coverage. Also the Delphox coverage. Both of these mons give Lucario some issues. Delphox would have to start running Terra Ghost to truly give it issues. So you get the E-Speed immunity. You don't just die to Terra Normal E-Speed at +2. But You got both of those as options. Even something like Arcanine. I think Arcanine just beats it too. Especially if you're Intimidate. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lucario's not that broken. I say that now. It's definitely going to be very, very overbearing. So Palisand, I guess, checks it too. Gligar probably checks it okay. You know, there are actually a lot of mons that are going to help us check it. Because even something like Salazzle, you're just looking at faster options that have potential Terra types to stunt on it. If I'm Salazzle, I could be Terra Ghost. But we have seen this mon defensively Terra all generation. You think it's going to stop doing that now? No, it's not going to stop that. So there's some options if you're looking for Lucario counterplay right now. As I do think we're going to need to really figure that out if Lucario has any chance of staying in the tier. As of now, I still do think it's probably going to be too much. But it's not like it's uncheckable. There are going to be people that say Lucario beats the entire tier. They are lying. Lying through their teeth to you. Don't listen to them. Actually, go in the builder and look at what you can do. So many people just look at a mon that drops and are like, wow, nothing checks this. And it's because they didn't take more than 5 seconds to look. But it's looking like it's probably ban-worthy, right? There's not going to be a ton of mods that are stopping it, though I do think we've got counterplay to keep it around if we so chose. Pawmot drops as well, and Pawmot, I'm going to be honest, I initially thought this mon would be very, very broken when it dropped. I mean, it's got some of the most insane coverage possible. You got Iron Fist even to boost up moves like Thunder Punch in power. So you got, like, you know, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, plus combat, and then probably like Mach Punch. You could do something like this with a band. Very solid wall breaker. When I looked at the stats, and I kind of came down on it as a mon, I still think it's going to be incredible. Like, it's very, very strong. And again, the coverage helps exemplify that even more. But it's not that fast. 105 is not slow, but it's not a mon that's breaking speed tiers in NU. It's not like this is a Jolteon speed, right? If this mon was 120, or whatever Jolteon's at, 130, yeah, I think calling for a ban immediately would be pretty fair. But 105 sits pretty congested. There's a lot of mons you tie with, and a lot of mons that just naturally outspeed you. Also, of course, literally Flygon is the most common mon in the tier, I think. I can actually check that real quick. I don't even have to say that I think. I don't even know why I felt the need to check that. We knew that all along. But Flygon's gonna check it. Choice Scarf Tauros Paldia is still gonna check it. I don't anticipate this running a Terra type that's super convenient into that. So you have to deal with the vibe check of two of the most common Scarfers. And a lot of mods that you have coverage for typically terastallizing into mods that resist the coverage. So you think about like Dragalge, for example, a mod you may think you could just Ice Punch and beat, even though it checks your dual stabs. Terra Steel and Terra Water are very common. You got something like Vileplume, where, I mean, I don't even think Ice Punch necessarily beats down Plume that reliably, but it also can run Terra Water or Fairy even very consistently. There was another mod on mine too that I forgot. Gligar, I guess, would be a good, no, Terra Water. Funny enough, the Mudsdale typically runs a Terra type that hurts it into you. It runs Terra Dragon quite a bit, but I think Horse will still check it fine. Palisand is close to a wall. I think if you Terra Water, you'll just always beat it. I like Glowbro is going to be a decent pivot around it. So, the big thing here, though, is probably the speed and then in tandem with the defenses that I was thinking was going to be the biggest issue for it, because it's just not very bulky. So, any form of priority is going to smoke it, and this ties back to the Revenge Killer's point, too. They have an easy time Revenge Killing, not just because they're faster, but no, this mon is not bulky at all. It's dying to most hits. So, I think it's going to be a great offensive option. It's also, I mean, it can do revival busting stuff. I don't know how good it'll actually be, but it's an option, and I'm sure it'll be fine. So, decent mon there. Next mon up is Rampardos. That dropped to Inu. Next is Whimsicott. And unfortunately for Whimsicott, it lost both Knockoff and Defog. So, I saw some people really being excited for it for a utility mon. I don't actually know if it's going to be even useful for utility. There's like the two best reasons to even attempt to use it as a utility option in previous generations. Like, it's not Sun and Moon. In Sword Shield NU, you see a little bit of it for utility with like Moonblast, Knockoff, Defog, and I think Synthesis. I think that's usually what I've seen run. I can't even do that now, man. So I don't think Whimsicott's even an impact mon, which sucks because I love Whimsicott. And now We'll get to the mons that rose up to Inu from PU, talk about why they're better now, and then, of course, speed run some of these. We'll also just talk about why some of these should not have dropped. Because there are multiple mons here that I've got absolutely no idea why they fell. But Embor rising up, talked about it a little bit a video or two ago. It's a nuclear warhead of a wall breaker. It's got pretty decent options as well for moveset versatility. Like, Bandit is the easiest one to go, but you can still try Scarf. Gives you a nice jump on a lot of offensive counterplay. Do you like Delphox and Salazzle? And even just going something like Boots is okay. Although I probably wouldn't do Boots. I do like something like Muscle Band. There are other options for damage boosting that let you tap into the utility that Embor actually offers between Knockoff and Sucker Punch. So, there's that. But yeah, just a very hard mon to wall. And a lot of that's because we don't have water types to pivot on Flare Blitz. So, a lot of the time, 50-50s for Embor aren't actually even that bad. Because Flare Blitz is usually very, very safe to click outside of some matchups like against Chandelure or maybe even Arcanine where it could be Flash Fire. Because even something like I guess Diancie is probably like the most common one you'd think of to dissuade Flare Blitz, and that still gets packed by CC and then put into range of 2 Flare Blitzes pretty quickly. Registeel rises to Inu. Do I need to really explain these two, man? Registeel's, like, at worst, the second best steel type in the tier. Great Stealth Rocker. Even great Setup Sweeper. And not like the easiest mon to exploit. So, there's that. And then Plume rises. That one might seem a little weirder because just usage-wise, it actually doesn't get a lot of use. It was out-usaged by Bastiodon, man. But, very great utility mon. Incredible check to every fighting type in the tier, particularly Water Poros. It's a stalwart of the tier. And with Terra, even check things like Flamigo pretty well. So that's valuable. And, you know, losing Sleep Powder hasn't actually hurt it at all. You didn't really use it much to begin with, but you've got Leech Seed, you've got Strength Sap, you got Stun Spore, you got plenty of options for utility, man. And then we can talk about mons that dropped. Some of these you'll be like, oh, yeah, that dropped, like Lapras. No one was using that, but others you might wonder. Toxicroak, it's not seen significant Inu usage in a while. So this was a matter of when, not if. A lot of it is just the other fighters we have now are a lot better. Like, they're better breakers and they're better setup sweepers. And so the question for Croak, like you look at Water Poros, it can do anything Croak can do, but better. So the question for Croak would just be, could you justify it based on the merits of Dry Skin and what that gives you defensively? And it's been no. The answer's been no. Galarian Articuno drops. I think part of this is because it and Hisui Braviary do eat away at each other's usage a bit. And even though Hisui Brave doesn't get enough usage in Inu, you still get some people trying it, and you're probably not using these two together ever unless it's, like, specifically you want to stack them. But it's also a mon that's overly reliant on Terra. I think you compare it to something like Jolteon in previous metas, where Terastallizing turned it into a god tier mon, but it still didn't need to Terastallize. Articuno Galar is the opposite. It actively needs to win matchups. It's not winning a lot of these matchups against mons like Registeel, Klefki, and Copperajah all too easily otherwise, or it's not doing well in them. Bruxish drops. It's entirely because of Water Poros. It's hard to get it's hard to justify Bruxish on teams. You really end up only finding use for it if you want a Scarfer that also pivots, and you really want it to be a water type. And even then, there's like Floatzel that can compete for some usage. It's not really to run Scarf at that point, but it's like a fast water type with Flip Turn. Some competition there. So Bruxish, yeah. Still a good mon, I believe. Or at least a viable mon, but Water Poros he collects his taxes. Hoopa drops. It's just not worth using in the tier with Meloetta. It's a little bit slow as well for a breaker. You're defensively giving teams nothing. It's, in this generation, I find it hard to use mons that are like wall breakers and nothing more. Hoopa is a wall breaker and nothing more. Lapras dropped. Yeah, nobody outside of the loaded dice Dragon Dance gamers were trying this guy out. You watched that Meganium video, and you tell me with a straight face this should have stayed in you. Ninetales drops to Pew. That's really funny. A lot of it's because Sun just didn't pick up an Inu till late into January. Definitely should be on you now, but hey, get ready to learn Sunese, pals. And also, Oricorio... There's no reason in hell for this broken-ass mod beat PU, man. Give me 5 good reasons Oricorio Pum Pum should drop out of Inu. This mod is broken as all hell. You tell me it fell? I need all y'all gamers, go out there and spam this mod on the NU ladder, because we need to save Pom Pom. It's gonna get banned literally today, by the way. Like, PUers are not going to let this mod stick in the tier. Look at PUBL. You telling me the tier that's already banned out Oricorio? Bailey? Was that what Shinjin said? You telling me that the Firebird and the Ghostbird are ban-worthy, but then literally the best one isn't? You can't. You'd be lying to me, and I don't think lying to me is very kind. Be good. Be good, okay? So, get this mod back in you. I demand it. Regigigas drops. No, not a mon. Rhydon drops. There's a lot of other ground types, and the usage case for Dawn is usually something like you want to compress having a ground type, having a stealth rocker, and also having something that kind of checks some of these other bulky setup mons. The issue is that a lot of the current bulky setup mons that are prevalent don't get out boosted by Dawn, so the whole point was like, with it checking Snorlax, you have Swords Dance, and Snorlax is Curse. So you just out boosted it. Nowadays, it's things like Bastiodon, which I don't know why this is still in you, but it's not unviable, I'll give it that, where it's Iron Defensing. Diancie, where it's sometimes getting Diamond Storm boosts. Duraludon, it's Iron Defensing. And then, of course, special attackers, you don't really care about a counter boost. Something like Mudsdale, I guess if it were to boost, it'd be Iron Defense. Registeel, a lot of time it's Iron Defense still. So, you don't really have that same value anymore, and with Snorlax usage down the shitter, literally. It's hard to justify the Dawn. And again, I mean, Flygon tax, man. Sandslash drops, again, Flygon tax, but also there's... People don't really end up valuing the roll compression, I think, enough. But also, you know, you compare it to, like, stats-wise, a lot of the other grounds are just better. Whether they're overall bulkier, have recovery, maybe, you know, offer a comparable amount of utility, mostly looking at Flygon for that. It makes it hard to use Sandslash. Because you compare it to maybe Mudsdale. Mudsdale's overall bulk being so nice, I just think it makes it more malleable to teams. Sandslash is kind of just there to run the same set every time. And although it's a good set in my view, it does make it a little limiting. It's a mon that you kind of end up finding yourself needing the utility of instead of just saying, okay, well, I can fit a Mudsdale here very easily or a Palisand here really easily and just feeling good about it. Scyther drops because it's... I'm still not entirely sure this mon should be dropping out of Inu, but it's... I have nothing to say other than it's seen no usage. You know, defog sets are kind of pointless when you don't really beat Registeel or Diancie. Or even Gligar, really. And Swords Dance sets are kind of pointless too, because we have real flying resists now. So, I still think it has a niche, but for now, it is PU. Snorlax drops. I think some people will be very shocked by that. Me personally, I've not seen a Snorlax used this entire month. I feel like if we go through all of the videos we did for January that were PS Lives, we saw maybe one Snorlax. The mon is kind of absent right now. I've said it once, I'll say it again. You in a tier with a shit ton of hazards and not much good removal are relying on rest for recovery. And you don't have Shed Skin. And you can't run Sleep Talk because then your coverage is just... It doesn't work. Yeah, doomed. Paldea Blaze Tauros Falls, it's because the Aqua one is better and you can't use them both. This mon has, in my opinion, no reason to ever get used. Outside of being a little bit better into like Vileplume. That's really it. Toedscruel drops. You tell me the last time you seriously considered Toedscruel on a team and then didn't immediately regret it. Tornadus drops. It is worse than Thundurus in every conceivable way. And in Zoroark drops. Honestly, again, this is kind of a case of I've just really not seen Zoroark this gen. But, because I said it before and I'll say it again, the issue with Zoroark will eternally be, once these tiers get better defensively, whether Zoroark's 50-50 things with the illusion shenanigans adequately punish you for mispredicting. And at the moment, They don't. Because now we've got mons like Diancie, Florges, Sylveon, Registeel. Like, these are real mons. A lot of time winning that prediction mind game nowadays just doesn't cut it, so. A lot of Zoroark's niche just falls off as the tier gets stronger. So that's gonna be it for the shifts, though, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'm excited to see what we get in March. Our glorious king Incineroar is just 1 tier away from returning. 1 tier away. I'm ready. I need Incineroar back. I also need Rotom Wash and Slowking to be an NU. I think we've earned it. You know, I think we've earned a Rotom Wash meta. You tell me you wouldn't watch a Rotom Wash NU video. Come on, guys. Thanks for watching the. Shoutouts to everyone that made it all the way to the end. Comment down below what change are you most excited for? Also, we're voting on NUBL, so if you watch till now, you get to know that. All the people that skipped this end of the video, you don't get to know that. Yeah. Well, I'll catch you next time, though, guys. Hopefully with some epic teams, maybe even a Joey collab. Peace.